Brisbane were the big winners, weren't they, today? I mean, they jump up into the top 4. That might have crept up on a few from where they come from. They were 7th coming into the round. They are now sitting pretty in the top 4. Massive game against the Sydney Swans to come.
I think you look at the top 8 there, Joey, and even the top dozen, and it's a gap year this year. The gap between teams' best and worst are poles apart, and we can have them 1 week to the next.
Yep.
Like you look at Port Adelaide last week, looked like world beaters.
Yeah.
Awful today. The Dogs, the reverse. You look at Carlton, what's happened to them 3 weeks ago versus what we're seeing now. Brisbane and Sydney are the only two that have been solid and consistent for 5, 6, 7 weeks. So, in my opinion, when you see these sorts of fluctuations, it's going to be impossible to come from 5 to 8 to win the flag. You're not going to be able to win 4 finals in a row against these good sides because we're not seeing teams do that now. Against the best teams, we haven't had, outside of Sydney, anyone win 3 or more games against 4 plus games against the good teams in a row.
And you think that will hold true in the finals?
Well, why wouldn't it? I mean, on the road...
Just because we can't
pointy
predict
end.
Well, we all
anything.
keep thinking someone will get hot, but as Kingy said, we haven't really seen many teams be able to string big wins together, especially against the top teams all year. So you're right, it does feel like it makes it hard.
The Hawks have kind of
They
done
are
that,
the
haven't
one.
they? Apart from one real slip up, and the Lions, as you said, they've come from 13th to 4th in a month. So there's the rest of the chasing pack, and it still goes down to the Hawks. All right, we could actually literally sit here and talk about the ladder all night, really, but we want to get a bit more specific than that, Joey. And where are you going to lead us off on the first?
Yeah, well, we could look at a lot of teams, couldn't we? But I've settled on Carlton as my first crack tonight because I think this year is a golden opportunity for Carlton to win a premiership. I think they have so much in their favour. They're still in the box seat to finish top 2. They've got Paddy Cripps playing the footy of his life. They've got Walsh running shotgun, Mackay and Curnow fit and firing, and the defenders, all fit pretty much. They get a cut. McGovern was missing, but if they don't stiffen up defensively and don't tighten up, then they are going to squander a golden opportunity and waste the talent they've got right now and the opportunity that they have given themselves right now. Because for the second week in a row, they've conceded 100 points, conceded 30 shots against the Western Bulldogs. It's now the 5th time this year they've conceded over 100 points. And if you look at where they sit right now, so they are 15th in the competition over the course of the year for points against. That is bottom 4. Now, there's only been a couple of teams in 25 years actually make the 8, sitting bottom 4 for points against. We're talking about a team wanting to win a premiership. No team ever in the last 25 years has won a premiership outside the top 6 for points against. So if they don't fix this part of their game up or get it consistent, they're going to waste this opportunity. You touched on it. How are they going to do it 3 or 4 games in a row against the top teams? Only takes one poor game, which we've seen them do on a number of occasions. And it's more probably about the individuals defensively than the collective system, because as a team defence, they actually work really well, which is uncharacteristic. It's the points against from stoppage, and it's individuals. Like we've seen weeks where Wiedering's defended so well, and Sard and Newman, and we give them praise, and McGovern and Kemp. Then we've seen other weeks where they just get beaten way too often. They make poor decisions to come forward when they should stay back, and stay back when they should come forward. And they've now got 6 weeks to lock down, focus on this part of the game, and get it right so that they can go through the final series and win a premiership. Because if they don't, they're going to squander it. They can't win it on offence. We always talk, and it's always flashy to look at the offence. They've got no problems there. Their clearance game is strong, but it's their ability to stop scores from stoppage. And if you just take a look, I'm going to get to some vision in a minute, but they are 17th, as we saw there. Right now, they're conceding more points from clearances than they are from turnovers. No team in the history of footy has done that by the end of a home and away season. So their clearance game and being able to defend it is an issue. So I'll take a look at some examples, and I've just picked their defensive 50 element because they are by far worse in the competition. 50 points worse off than the next best, which is next worst, which is North Melbourne. And it's just attention to detail. So this was the first stoppage. Sard was standing next to Cody Waitman at the stoppage. It's a repeat stoppage, and Sard just decides to go and stand next to Ed Richards at this one. And look at Cody Waitman, who just had Sard on in the previous stoppage. He's standing in there by himself inside the forward 50. And then all of a sudden he gets a free kick, and that's a goal. And you're like, where's your attention to detail? You've got to be better than this, Carlton, when we are talking about winning premierships. So again, forward 50 stoppage, Sard's got him covered, just a little switch off. Where's he gone? And then all of a sudden, look how many players are free inside the forward 50 for the Western Bulldogs, and then a one-on-one contest. Newman, got to be better than that. In a final, in a prelim, you can't allow this to happen. And then we saw Bontempelli kick an amazing goal, and then we see Jamara as well. They again got scored heavily from stoppage. When they get beaten, they are getting towed up out of there. So it's partly the mids, and it's partly the defence, but together they have got to get it right and give themselves a great chance. They've still got a great run home, still think they'll finish top 2, but this is a massive factor for them.
Yeah, the fixture does lend them that possibility, strong possibility, but we'll talk more about them a little later in the show. Kingy, where are you leading us to?
I'm going with who knows. I mean, we've got no idea in our game at the moment with some of the rules. The umpiring's been a challenge all year, but I'm more specific about a couple of actions in our game. The tackle, the concussion side of it, whether it's a sling, whether it's a dump, whether it's a arms pinned, arms not pinned. We've got grey area everywhere. The MRO was hit and miss. I can't tell you 100% tonight as we sit here whether that's a suspendable offence or not. I can't tell you what the MRO will give him. I can't tell you what the appeals tribunal will do if they do get weeks and then lose and then appeal. I can't tell you what a coach thinks about this. In the post-game, waste of time asking them. I can't tell you what the fans think because they got no idea either. They're just frustrated. Is that a report or not? I don't know. The player who's impacted is going off the field concussed. I feel for the players with this because no one has any idea. The rules have never been greyer right now as to what you can and can't do and what is acceptable. We've changed so many things. There is pandemonium in the game at the moment. And it's what it's doing is it's stifling our ability to make these changes, to absolutely come down on some players who get 4+ weeks and some get off. So the players are living in this grey area. It's at a point now where you go, is it worth tackling like that? Is it actually worth tackling? And we're seeing now, and I think this is a massive danger coming into our game, the chicken wing tackle. And it won't be long before we're having to ban this and outlaw this out of our game because players see the rewards now. Just take a hand. This is an incident from 2 years ago. Now, we're seeing that every tackle now. That got 2 weeks, a 2-week suspension. So 2 years ago, this is 2 weeks. And now because of the unintended consequences of the rule changes, this is common practice. I reckon I saw 100 chicken wing tackles on the weekend. And I hate it. Now, I don't know what you do about it because we've found ourselves here. Steve Hocking talked about this last week.
Yep.
You make these changes with no idea where you're going. This is an issue for our game right now, and I don't know how we eradicate
The
it.
one arm free is the whole thing, isn't it, with the holding the ball?
Well, it is because up until this year, if you want to stop a player from kicking or handball it, you tackle them to the ground and they can't kick or handball it.
Yeah.
Now, because you can't tackle a player to the ground or do it with any confidence, you have to keep them upstanding, which means, well, to stop them from trying to handball it or get a kick of it, you pin one arm. And
But
everyone's training that way. That's right. Everyone's getting trained to do that.
Then they can't dispose of the ball
you
correctly.
get a free kick.
They're asked to try and kick it, they can't.
chicken wing is rewarded. We suspended players for 2 weeks 2 years ago, and now we're rewarding those same guys with a free kick. Like, it's ridiculous how this has flipped. It's going to be a huge issue. I'm telling you, players are going to have shoulder injuries in the back half of the year at the wrong time of the year because of the rules, the alterations we've made.
I think Bedford's in trouble, by the way. I think is likely to go.
You think so?
I think so, yeah.
You got no idea.
Well, I think
just
so.
told you.
To me, that's exactly the same as Patrick Dangerfield's
Well, Dangerfield
tackle.
was
He
able
got
to
given a
argue
week. Well, the ball's under him at Taranto as well. I mean, what else could Bedford have done there? I mean, he's going to have to go to he's going to get a week. I reckon he'll get exactly like Dangerfield. He'll get given a week by the MRO. You're right, King. He'll then go to the tribunal and argue the case.
What'll
The
happen
tribunal
then?
will probably throw it out.
Yeah.
And he'll get off. And we'll be none the
I have
wiser.
sympathy for him, but I think it's going to be harder for him to argue that he actually did anything to mitigate the fall, whereas Danger was able to argue that. But I agree. I do have sympathy.
Charlie Cameron, the driving tackle. I
Yeah.
mean, that's more fierce than that one. And it's an absolutely defenceless player. Look at this. He is
No,
defenceless
it's-
from there. Bang. And that is vicious at the end, Joey. Now, I think he's in more trouble than Bedford, to be honest. That driving motion at the end there is severe. Joey,
Yeah,
it
that's
is.
stiff.
I know it's stiff.
What do you want him to do there?
I don't want him to do that. That at the end, that driving motion at the end and the dip at the end is brutal, Joey. Because we've got defensive
Cameron down
players.
himself a bit, or it depends.
Well, that's
what
right. He
Cameron
looks
look
like
at.
he's fallen
And
on
that's
top
Bottom
of him.
line is, no one knows.
No, we don't.
That is ridiculous that we're at the end of a round and we've got no idea who's playing next week for our own teams.